Hi there, this is Steve from Expert in All Legal Matters. I'm really sorry I've not been in contact with a load of people. I've been down in Kent and then down in Cornwall, sorting out a load of things. So you have to just bear with me a bit. So anyway, I've just got back up to Manchester, well, that neck of the area anyway. And I want to talk to you about the maxims of law and common law, because they are interlinked, and it's really important to understand your standings when you do anything. Because even if you mention common law in a courtroom, it's still some sort of admiralty law. And that's why I showed you the book as of common law and obligations. You understand why I showed you the book? So you have to understand your standings and all that. So that's that. I'm going to read a few things so you understand things, so you get this. You know what I mean? It's easier than I just read it to you and you understand it. When Jesus spoke the truth to his accusers, he would justify himself by quoting law. First, he would quote God's law. Absolutely correct. And after quoting God's law, he would often quote the accuser's law and use that against them as well. For example, Jesus would say, did you never read in the scriptures? And then quote God's law. Then he would turn around and say, it is not written in your law. Absolutely correct. Spot on. And quote their own law. His accuser would not have an answer. They could not overcome him. And how could anyone overcome somebody who is obeying both God's law and man's law? If a man-made law is just, it will be in harmony with God's law. That's true, that's God's law. I'm not on about the Bible here, guys, before you all start cracking down about the Ten Commandments and everything like that. I'm talking about the maxims of law, specific principles in law that actually run alongside law. Does that make sense? Right. This is the purpose of this article. The maxims are the foundation and principles of law that the man passes today. Unfortunately, men enforce their own will more than they enforce the law. So, this is why. In addition to knowing God's law, it is also important to know man's law. Keep telling you about getting the books, guys. Keep telling you about getting the books. Because man's law is based upon God's law. And when you are accused of breaking the law, you can do what Jesus did and use both God's law and man's law to justify your lawful acts. Absolutely correct. Well, this is the only thing that will excuse you. And that's also true. And as I'm not on about criminal now, guys, so don't ever think that. I'm on about civil, criminal. You get the drift. It's important to distinguish between commercial law and maxims of law when quoting from their law. We should never ever quote their codes, rules, regulations, ordinances, statutes, common law, merchant law, public policies, constitutions, etc., because they are commercial in nature. Well, they are commercial in nature, to be fair. Yeah, commercial in nature. And if we use a commercial law, then they can presume we are engaged in commerce, which is also very true, which means we are of the world, which will nullify our witnesses because we are not of the world. Absolutely true as well. Yeah. The maxims of law are not commercial law, but they are mostly based upon scripture and truth. Just go through any history books and look at the maxims and the canons. You'll see all this yourself, guys. Many insist on using the common law to defend themselves, and this is where you guys have got to understand this. The reason we should not is because, first and foremost, you do not see the term common law in scripture. Bound servants of Christ are only used in God's law. Secondly, the common law is a commercial law today, created by the merchants, influenced by Roman law and used for their commercial purpose. And there's whole loads of things about this and everything. Customs of merchants. A system of customs originate among merchants and allowed for the benefit of trade are part of a common law. Law merchant. Law of the merchants. The rules applicable to commercial paper were transplanted into the common law. From the law merchant, they had their own origin in the customs and courses of business of merchants and bankers, and are now recognised by the courts because they are deemed by the wants and conveniences of the mercantile world. That's true, absolutely all true. Roman law. The common law of England has been largely influenced by Roman law through development of commercial law. Absolutely spot on. All of man's laws, except for the many maxims of law, are commercial in nature. The following are definitions of maxims, and the relevant maxims of law will be listed. Maxims, an established principle or proposition, a principle of law, universal, admitted, and being just, consistent with reason. The maxims in law are somewhat like atoms in geometry. They are the principles and authorities part of the general custom of common law of the land and of the same strength as acts of parliament. When the judges have determined what is a maxim, which belongs to the judges and not to the jury. Maxims of law are holden for law, and all other cases that may be applied to them shall be taken for granted. Absolutely spot on. The application of the maxims to the case before the court is generally the only difficulty. The true method of making so that's, yeah, I'll read that again so you understand that. Okay? You won't get that. The application of a maxim to the case before the court is generally the only difficulty. Now that's true, that's difficulty. Now what that is guys, the paperwork's got to precede you if you're going through court systems. Does that make sense? So if it's not right, then you won't get the sitting where you want in the jurisdiction